Hey wrestling fans, thanks for checking out part 4 of the history of the WWE Championship right here on Chronocord Pro Wrestling. I'm your host C-Dub. Let's fire up the time machine and take a look back at the WWE record books. If you have not already, check out parts 1, 2, and 3 of this series by clicking the links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to Chronocord Media to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Former bodyguard to the Shah of Iran, Khosrow Vaziri, known to wrestling fans as the Iron Sheik, ruined the holiday season in 1983 by dethroning reigning WWF champion Bob Backlund. But 1984 brought forth the dawn of a new era. January 23rd, 1984. After thwarting attempts in championship rematches against Bob Backlund and in title defenses against Chief Jay Strongbow, Tito Santana, Salvatore Bellomo, and Pat Patterson, the Iron Sheik was defeated at Madison Square Garden for the championship by Hulk Hogan. Hogan escaped Sheik's camel clutch submission maneuver by ramming Sheik against the turnbuckle back first, hitting his own finisher, the leg drop. The MSG crowd of over 26,000 immediately took to Hogan, more so than former champion Bob Backlund, and Vince McMahon's decision to birth HULKAMANIA proved to be an instant success. Hogan's parents, Pete and Ruth Balea, were on hand to witness their son capture his first World Wrestling Federation championship, and the first in line to congratulate the new champion on his achievement was none other than Andre the Giant. The next day, at an All-American Wrestling TV taping in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Mean Gene Okerlund interviewed the eighth wonder of the world himself. In a segment that aired on February 12th, Andre told Mean Gene he wasn't looking to challenge the new champion, his friend Hulk Hogan, because he was happy just being the Giant and didn't necessarily want to be champion. Andre finished the interview by saying that he may change his mind in the future. The Hulkster traveled to Japan to compete with New Japan Pro Wrestling just days after capturing the title, teaming with Iron Mike Sharp and Bret Hart in tag team and six-man bouts, as well as singles matches against Rusher Kimura. He returned to the United States in a bout against the Masked Superstar at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis on February 10th, competing later that same night in an 18-man battle royal for $30,000, where he and Andre the Giant were eliminated at the same time by Big John Studd. At the time, Studd was managed by a newcomer to the WWF, Roddy Piper. Hogan spent the first months of 1984 fending off challenges to the title from former champion the Iron Sheik, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, John Studd, Dr. D. David Schultz, Tiger Chung Lee, Wild Samoans Afa and Sika, and Greg the Hammer Valentine. He returned to Japan on May 11th, facing his rival Antonio Inoki, winning by disqualification in a non-title match. He then teamed with his enemy back in the United States, the Masked Superstar, in a tag team bout against Riki Choshu and Mr. Saito. The next night, bitter enemies, Masked Superstar and Hulk Hogan, faced Hulk Hogan's pal, Andre the Giant, and Adrian Adonis. It gets even more strange. The following day, Hogan teamed with the man who was chasing him relentlessly for the WWF Championship back in the United States, Big John Studd, to defeat Antonio Inoki and Seiji Sakaguchi. Hogan and Masked Superstar defeated WWF Tag Team Champions Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis in a non-title match in Hiroshima on the 18th, and Hogan was back at Madison Square Garden by the 21st, defeating Dr. D. David Schultz in another title defense. The World Wrestling Federation was quickly ascending in popularity and fighting with the NWA conglomerate to establish an international presence as the #1 promotion in North America. May 24th, 1984. Former promoter of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, Vincent J. McMahon, passed away at the age of 69 after battling pancreatic cancer. Vince Sr. was successful in his efforts to establish his Capital Wrestling Corporation, later known as the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, in the post-World War II early days of television on the Dumont Network, live from Washington, D.C. Under his tenure, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation split from the NWA, became the World Wrestling Federation, and thrived financially. June 8th, 1984. WWF champion Hulk Hogan returned to Japan for another tour as the returning champion from the 1983 IWGP tournament. He faced 1984's tournament winner, the man he defeated to become champion, Antonio Inoki, on June 14th in Tokyo. Inoki won this match by countout in a 22-minute bout, which was originally ruled a double countout twice. The WWF Championship was not at stake in this match, and Hogan returned to the United States days later. He resumed his title defenses, taking on new challengers Rene Goulet, Moondog Rex, and facing Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff in rematches around the country. July 14th, 1984. Vince McMahon appears on Atlanta-based cable network Superstation WTBS's flagship wrestling program, Georgia Championship Wrestling's World Championship Wrestling, informing viewers that they would now see the stars of the World Wrestling Federation instead of the usual stars of the NWA. The event is known in pro wrestling history as Black Saturday. Former GCW announcer Freddie Miller hosted the show, along with WWF announcer Gorilla Monsoon. The inaugural broadcast of WWF's version of Georgia Championship Wrestling featured matches taped in Ontario on July 10th. WWF champion Hulk Hogan defeated Jerry Valiant in the main event in under 3 minutes. Georgia Championship Wrestling was owned by majority shareholders Jack and Jerry Briscoe, Paul Jones, and promoter Jim Barnett, along with a 10% stake controlled by booker and wrestler Ole Anderson. Georgia Championship Wrestling had been on the air since 1972 on the station and was responsible for WTBS's highest ratings next to Atlanta Braves games. The promotion was an NWA affiliate and thus in direct competition with McMahon's WWF. In the early 80s, cable television was on the rise and nationally televised pro wrestling shows were few and far between. The AWA in Minnesota had a stronghold on distribution early in the decade, but slipped after McMahon signed their top star Hulk Hogan, along with Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura, Gene Okerlund, and others. In 1983, McMahon purchased the San Antonio-based Southwest Championship Wrestling time slot on USA Network, giving way to his Sunday morning WWF All-American Wrestling show. In June of '84, McMahon acquired controlling interest in the Toronto-based Maple Leaf Wrestling promotion, airing WWF action on those time slots as well. USA Network eventually gave McMahon a variety talk show featuring the wrestlers as guests, Tuesday Night Titans. McMahon's next target for expansion was Georgia Championship Wrestling. He initially approached TBS owner Ted Turner directly, wanting to purchase GCW's Saturday night time slot. Turner refused almost immediately. McMahon, however, wasn't one to take no for an answer, and negotiated the purchase of Georgia Championship Wrestling itself from the Briscoes, Paul Jones, and Jim Barnett, who were majority shareholders, giving McMahon control of the 2 hours every Saturday night on WTBS. McMahon hadn't counted on the Superstation WTBS Georgia Championship Wrestling fans not liking his more cartoonish, larger-than-life brand of pro wrestling, featuring quick, less competitive matches than seen before. The shows also featured tape matches previously aired on other WWF television shows, like Championship Wrestling and All-Star Wrestling, angering Ted Turner, who understood that he would receive first-run content, matches taped at his WTBS studios on Techwood Drive in Atlanta. TBS received thousands of letters and phone calls demanding to know why the stars of Georgia Championship Wrestling were no longer on the network. Angered that legendary announcer Gordon Soley wasn't there calling the action, the ratings began to sink, and Ted Turner wanted his viewership back. He made an offer to Oklahoma-based Mid-South wrestling promoter Bill Watts to air his wrestling on Sunday afternoons. Turner also offered a second Saturday morning time slot to Ole Anderson's Championship Wrestling from Georgia promotion, which featured Gordon Soley as announcer. Mid-South and Championship Wrestling from Georgia quickly outperformed WWF's Georgia Championship Wrestling, and there was more nationally televised pro wrestling on TV than ever before. To say Ted Turner and Vince McMahon were at odds is a massive understatement. Despite the low ratings for WWF Georgia Championship Wrestling, McMahon had other irons in the fire. Cyndi Lauper was one of the biggest music stars of the early 80s, with music videos for hit songs Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, Time After Time, and She Bop, featuring cameo appearances from WWF manager Captain Lou Albano in the music videos, which were in heavy rotation on MTV. Lauper soon appeared on WWF television, having a confrontation with Albano on Piper's Pit that led to Cyndi issuing a challenge between two female wrestlers of Albano and Lauper's choosing. Cyndi's popularity on MTV led to a natural WWF MTV crossover, and in July of 1984, the match was set. Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper taking on reigning WWF Women's Champion for 28 years straight, the Fabulous Moolah, accompanied by Lou Albano. The match was to be aired on MTV live, July 23, 1984, from Madison Square Garden. Tune in next time to the history of the WWE Championship as the World Wrestling Federation catches fire with the MTV generation, the Rock and Wrestling connection is born, and the pro wrestling industry reaches heights previously thought impossible. For Chronocord Pro Wrestling, I'm C-Dub. Don't forget to kick out at 2.